liminal spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And Nate's over here like Nightmare Town.
You're in, as Nate pointed out earlier, you're in an old Talking Heads video.
I understand them now.
Folks, welcome to Werewolf Radar, the world's premier paranormal preparedness podcast. My name is Jordan Dahl.
I am Nate Balding.
I am Roger Norquist.
Today's episode of Werewolf Radar is brought to you by Monstroco Undermilk. This inky black, barely tangible fluid, dredged from the glands of a shrieking proprietary horror, will strengthen bones you didn't even know you had. Those bones will burst forth from your body, escape into the night, only to be captured by Monstroco agents and milked for more undermilk. Undermilk from Monstroco. What the fuck?
Oh,
Well, now we know what to bathe in.
Oh, yeah.
Undermilk.
So probably part of the episode that I cut out, the beginning, we were talking about bathing in milk. This is the stuff. This is the stuff you bathe in.
But undermilk, weirdly, when you pour it, it smells like hell. And then if you leave it out in the sun for a few days, it gets fresher.
All right. I mean, as long as I know, I'll drink a fresh black milk, you know?
Yeah. Oh, you don't drink it.
Oh. Well,
this is only for bathing in. Don't let any of it get in your mouth.
I let a lot of it get into my mouth from that
boy.
sample they gave us.
Oh boy, you're going to have a stomach full of skeletons.
Well, can I go first before I die?
Yes, of course you can, because
All right.
your time is now ticking.
All right. Well,
Your days are numbered, and Monstroco will be coming for the contents of your stomach. They own that.
I had a couple of things. I had, first of all, from Lawn Love, the internet's #1 source for lawn care and professional lawn services. They did a best cities for paranormal activity statistical analysis. And I'm proud to say...
are they finding, like, ghosts that are being
what they're doing is they're finding
pulled out of the lawn?
They're finding places that advertise themselves as haunted, various bars or various addresses on the internet, stuff like that, and they put together scores. I'm proud to say that places where we live are in the top 20.
Okay.
Redacted is #2.
Okay. I've always wanted to visit Redacted,
and that's where you live, Jordan.
Okay.
New York is #2.
Okay.
And then Denver, number 17.
Wow. What's #1?
#1's LA.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yes. And here's some of the ratings. We
LA
have
happens
sighting
to be haunted by all those broken dreams.
Yeah.
So.
For LA, their sighting rankings is #4 out of all of the cities, which is like 176 or some shit. There's a bunch on here. Haunted locations rank #1, lifestyle rank #1, community rank #1.
Hell yeah.
There's also a fun infographic.
Wait, like ghost community?
Or ghost lifestyle?
They have a great ghost lifestyle.
I'll just go over some of this real quickly, and then I'll go into my actual segment. Here's the infographic. Top 10 cities for paranormal activity. LA, New York, Chicago, San Diego, New Orleans for the top 5. Worst cities for paranormal activity. Lakewood, Colorado. Boise, Indiana, or Idaho. Surprise, Arizona.
That's because nobody wants to keep living there.
Surprise, Arizona. You would think, if anything, a place called Surprise would have a lot of ghosts.
Most paranormal
out.
sightings?
Well, I think the surprise in Surprise, Arizona is an unfortunate death.
Sure. Surprise. There's no monsters here.
Yeah, you would think that this person was going to become a ghost, but now they're not, and you just have to go to go to jail for it.
Yeah.
San Diego's #1 for most paranormal sightings. Phoenix ties with Wichita, New Orleans, Boston, and El Paso. Most paranormal societies.
Fewest.
Most paranormal societies and investigative organizations. Las Vegas, baby. Conventions, LA rocks. Denver, Colorado has the fewest conventions. Maybe we can change that. Subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/Werewolf Radar.
Yeah.
Fewest ghost tours.
It also appears that it's a tie for all of them having 1 to 0.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's a fun infographic. But anyway, check that out. That's in our Discord's listen along. Thank you, Lon Love, for that. But now let's go into my segment, which is about the Russian chest head that met with aliens and thinks that the aliens brought us chess.
Chess head? I've never heard someone who's into chess called a chess head.
That's because normally they're called masters and grandmasters because they play chess.com and they put the anal beads in there. It's been a weird year for chess. If you follow chess news, it's been crazy, the news. Everyone's cheating on chess.com.
Why does chess head feel like a slur to me?
It does though, doesn't it? I'm going to call them chest enthusiast or chesters. I'm going to call them a chester. So from Mysterious Universe and
although that does rhyme with molester, that doesn't seem good.
Listen, we'll come up with something better on Monday. This is from Paul Seaburn. Russian Chester met with aliens and thinks that they brought us chess. If you don't know what chess is, chess is an ancient board game, and while not the first, it has certainly survived longer and at a higher level of worldwide popularity than any other board game. Try and think of one, Jordan.
Mousetrap.
Oh, damn, that's close. That's up there. People have been playing Mousetrap for years.
Wait. Don't Wake Daddy.
The oldest game in existence. The Sumerians were playing Don't Wake Daddy.
Yeah, a crude obsidian daddy was fashioned.
So chess is almost as if someone looked at the interest, ability, and competitive nature of humans and developed a game specifically for this chess. Easy, Paul. Chess isn't gonna date you.
It could.
It could though. So world
with the way AI is going,
there it is.
You can date anything.
Hell yeah.
And we support it. Date that chessboard. So a world chess expert and proponent of extraterrestrials is one of the many people who believe this, and he's back in the news promoting his theory along with his accounts of being abducted and taken to a UFO to anyone that will listen. And we're one of those people.
Hell yeah.
One of the quotes from him.
As a community, we are one of those people.
Yes, we count as a person.
We are not a swarm.
With our yearly incomes combined, we are technically one person.
We are technically one lower middle class person.
Still pretty middle class person.
So in a new interview with the Russian language website sports.ru,
it's my favorite place to stream NHL games that I can't watch from.
Hey, all right.
Then you're familiar. Well, on there, Kirsan Ilyumzinov, the former head of the International Chess Federation, or FIDE, the former democratically elected president of the Republic of Kalmykia, and the founder of the Russian publishing house Novy Vzгляд, was asked again about chess and aliens. So he's been known to do this. These are stories that he's been telling since 2010 about being abducted by extraterrestrials in September of 1997. The same year that Parasite Eve came out. Coincidence?
Probably not.
All
Couldn't
right.
be.
I'm also not sure about the year Parasite Eve came out.
I think it was before then, but whatever.
I gave it a shot. Go on.
I do really like the idea of somebody playing this guy and like they're sort of losing and they just like throw out a little pawn and they're like, does that feel like being taken up into the UFO? And then he just throws the board.
What does this remind you of?
So he wants to note that he is not looking for publicity and was certainly aware of how this unusual tale would be received by Russians and chesters, or as the article calls them, chess lovers.
Right.
A quote, "It was in September 1997 and in Moscow. They called to the balcony. I went out and soon found myself on their ship. Everything is simple. I asked why they don't open up and tell everyone about themselves. One of them replied, 'Well, you don't communicate with ants. Your level has not matured yet.'" Which is a very common theory we've discussed multiple times.
Right. We were talking about that last time. I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, what are they even doing? Just watching us?
They do that in Star Trek too, remember? And it keeps going bad and they have to like explain that they're aliens.
Yeah.
They usually blow the Prime Directive somehow.
Yeah.
Back to Paul, that is not exactly what one wants to hear from an extraterrestrial, but it is the story of Ilyum Zinov, but was consistently and has consistently told this story since 2010. In one of his first revelations on his abductions back in 2011, he said he was taken to a starship and went to some star. There, he met for 8 hours with aliens he described as being a little taller than our height.
No. Well, I don't like that. That feels like they shouldn't be allowed to be taller than us.
Go Google the average height of a Russian.
2'4", that can't be right.
All right. Well, I typed in average so bad it Googled what's the average wage of a Russian.
All right. Well, let's just assume they're a little taller than us, which I find offensive.
All right. We are offended.
We are offended. As straight white men living in America, we think we should be the tallest.
So they're a little bit taller than human height and wearing yellow spacesuits.
Cool.
The Chester Master, or Master Chester.
Oh, that's it. Made me
the
laugh.
Master Chester noted that despite the ants comparison, the ET seemed to ask him a lot of questions as well.
Yeah,
and it is very well that we called you an ant. Now, please tell us about how your bowel movements work or whatever they asked about.
I'd be fucking throwing that shit around a lot. Just be like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was an ant. Oh, you want me to show you how to use an Android phone? Oh, I'm sorry. Should the ant get the top off of this pickle jar for you guys? Fucking dicks.
Yeah, but I mean, also, if you're an entomologist and you had the chance to be like, hey, ants, so what's the deal here?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you want that answer?
Real quick, just as an aside.
Yes.
What would you ask an ant?
Oh, what's sex like? I don't know. I only have 2 legs and 2 arms, but what do you do with all those others?
I think I would still be asking it stuff like, is Bigfoot real?
They probably know.
Yeah,
they would. They're out there. I think I would ask farm versus hill. What's the better?
Gripping questions. So let's go now to shit. How I hate Russian names. Ilyum Zinov.
Whoa, that's an awesome name.
When I got home, at first, I thought it was a dream, but then the assistant and the driver said that they had been looking for me in the apartment for an hour. They had searched everywhere. managed to panic, and then once I had materialized, most likely the version about the dream was their suggestion. This is translated into English, so it didn't exactly translate properly there. But anyway, they all thought it was crazy.
Get Nabokov's guy
and reacted differently. No, they did not. The last comment is interesting because by then the Master Chester was a well-known political leader.
Oh. Twist.
He seemed surprised that he was so calm after such an experience. A recent revelation about former U.S. President Jimmy Carter, who also went public about seeing a UFO, has a different ending. When Carter was allegedly shown evidence from the CIA suggesting that aliens have long been on Earth and formed the world's religions to control humans, he was said to have wept for weeks.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's pretty brutal. Especially if you're like a highly religious person, to be like, right, about Jesus.
About everything that you think is real.
Oh boy. So you're Hindu, huh? Well, do I have some news for Hindu? You know all those spaceships in the Mahabharata?
That was our brother.
It's all aliens. I heard somebody recommend it or mention this recently, where they were talking about like the idea of disclosure seems very enticing to us, but like if you were to find out, shit that completely discredits large portions of people's lives, that
it would ruin
it doesn't look good on a global scale. People would freak out.
You know what could solve this? Ice cream.
Weed flavored ice cream.
Weed flavored ice cream. That will help everyone get past this. So he just returned home. He's a political leader. He wept for weeks. Jimmy Carter. Ilyum Zinov said he talked to other world leaders.
He wept for 1 minute, and that was enough.
Listen, everyone's tougher in Mother Russia. He says he talked to other world leaders and famous people about his experience, and some shared theirs with him. This is a quote from the Master Chester. I was told by several presidents of states that they had contact with aliens. They do not talk about it publicly because they are afraid that they might be mistaken for crazy people. Vasily Smyslov confessed to me that he and his wife, Nadezhda, were also taken away. In fact, there are not many such people. So world leaders being taken, or maybe chess fans. Vasily was a Soviet and Russian chess grandmaster, world chess champion from 1957 and 1958. Ilyum Zinov knew him because he himself won the Kalmykian National Chess Championship in 1976 at the age of 14. And in 1995 became the president of the International Chess Federation, investing a large amount of the fortune he made after the collapse of the Soviet Union into FIDE. It was shortly after that meeting with Smyslov that Ilyum Zinov revealed his theory about the origin of his beloved game. This is a quote from the Master Chester. From the United States every year, it is an official statistic. More than 4,000 people are contacted in such a way. My theory is that chess comes from space.
Yeah.
Why? Because the same rules, 64 squares, black and white, and the same rules in Japan and in China and in Qatar, in Mongolia, in Africa. The rules are the same.
But surely they didn't, spontaneously arise in those countries with the same rules, right? It was a kind of a diaspora.
No, it was because of outer space.
Oh, space. I didn't understand.
The earliest accounts of chess, I'm sure you're aware, Jordan, is in the 7th century and appeared in the same times in Persia, India, and China.
Weird. Interesting.
It also is noted by the master chesser that shortly after that in Africa, Europe, and even South America, yet travel to those areas was infrequent and, if not, improbable. So how did this ancient board game spread to so many places so quickly with the same rules and board pieces? Surely it was not trade, it was aliens. The master chester says he also insists that there's some kind of code in chess, evidence for which he finds in the fact that there are 64 squares on the chessboard and 64 codons in the human DNA.
And 64 bits in the Nintendo 64.
That's when he ripped the microphone off the microphone stand during the podcast and threw it on the ground.
He
also says, I believe that chess comes from either God or from beings flying a UFO. Okay. I should know. They took me. This is all real. This is quotes from him. They took me aboard their airship while I was on a business trip to Moscow in 1997 to a different star.
Whoa. And did they show him chess there? Or was it like, I mean, if I get to space and they're just playing regular ass chess, I'm going to be like, fuck is this? Where's the holo chess?
I don't think they told him this. I think from his own words, he is just assuming because of certain coincidences that because like pyramids appear in Maya, despite pyramids also being just something that humans would naturally build to, trying to build larger buildings because of the just the sturdiness of that structure versus other structures you could build, Like a chessboard overall isn't, I don't feel, complex science. So I think all sorts of civilizations could come up with it with or without trade and at the same time.
Maybe there's something in the human mind that seeks this pattern. But then again, that brings me back to, who put it there and why is there?
That could be aliens or perhaps just the human thought, man. We like 64, Nintendo 64. It's all connected.
1964.
It's very possible. I for one believe God gave us checkers, and
God gave checkers to you.
So one more quote
to you
about chess, aliens, and being abducted. Ilyum Zinov wishes he could be abducted again because he has so many questions to ask the extraterrestrials. He said that he would ask why they are still not disclosed. There are plenty of them around us. Even Poiskovsky?
Not Poiskovsky.
Shoiskovsky wrote that our galaxy is teeming with different civilizations.
Wow.
Oh, Tsiolkovsky?
Konstantin. Soiskovsky.
He was one of the early cosmists.
Yes, you know who I am trying to pronounce. He was an early Russian and Soviet rocket scientist. So that's my segment. It got exciting at the end. I got passionate.
Wild.
I took up some time. I apologize, but you understand there was crazy shit. We got to talk about chess.
Chess is from space.
Chess is from space.
As is the fucking band Murray head.
May I go next?
Yes, you can.
I give you the talking skull.
Great. I'm going to take the talking skull, and I've been thinking about giants. Been thinking all about giants. I've read a couple of strange encounters with supposed giants recently. I wanted to go over some of the major giants from mythology from cryptids.fandom.com. That's, of course, cryptids with a Z, cryptids. They list a number of giants here, and I'm just going to get right into it because this could get pretty long. So, Indian mythology. In India, they are called Daityas. The Daityas were the children of Diti and the sage Kashyapa, who fought against the gods or devas because they were jealous of their deva half-brothers. Since Daityas were a power-seeking race, they sometimes allied with other races having similar ideology, namely Danavas and Asuras. Indian mythology is incredible, by the way. That thing about spaceships that I said earlier, that's real.
No, that was fully, yeah.
It's a fun read, and it's nice and segmented like all religions, to where you can just read a little story about someone and be blown away by the earliest form of science fiction, motherfuckers.
Daityas, along with Danavas and Asuras, are sometimes called Rakshasas, which we know from D&D. The generic term for a demon in Hindu mythology. Some known Daityas include Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. The main antagonist of the Hindu epic Ramayana.
I'm very happy about how this episode's going to be nothing but mispronounced names.
Ravana was a Brahmin from his father's side and a Daitya from his mother's side, so he was half giant. In Norse mythology, the Jotun are often opposed to the gods. While often translated as giants, most are described as being roughly human-sized. Some are portrayed as huge, such as the frost giants, the fire giants, and the mountain giants. Norse mythology also holds that the entire world of men was created from the flesh of Ymir, a giant of cosmic proportions, which name is considered to share a root with the name Yama of Indian/Iranian mythology. Interesting. Once again,
we're getting some proto-Indo-European language shit.
Some of the giants of British lore originated from Norse myths, which were transferred to the British Isles during the Anglo-Saxon invasion. Example of this transfer is the Grendel, which is the root of all British giant myths. Interesting. Greek mythology, of course, we got your Cyclopes, we got your Titans, Uranus, Gaia. They were involved in a conflict with Olympian gods called the Gigantomachy.
The Gigantomachy.
Which is amazing. And then they get into some specific giants. The giant of Castelnau. The expression giant of Castelnau refers to 3 bone fragments, a humerus, tibia, and femoral midshaft. Joke. Discovered by Georges Vacher de la Puge in 1890 in the sediment used to cover a Bronze Age burial tumulus, and then possibly dating back to the Neolithic. According to de la Puge, the fossil bones may belong to one of the largest humans ever known to have existed. He estimated from the bone size that the human may have been 3.50 meters tall. That's 3.5 meters, which is about
10-ish feet.
Yeah. Over 10 feet, yeah. No modern peer-reviewed study has been published about the alleged bone fragments. Same is the case of the giant of Montpellier. 1894 press accounts mentioned a discovery of bones of human giants unearthed at a prehistoric cemetery in Montpellier, France. Skulls of 28 inches, 31 and 32 inches in circumference were reported alongside other bones of gigantic proportions, which indicate they belong to a race of men between 10 and 15 feet in height. My goodness.
Ooh, that's proper giant proportion. That's huge. I'm a 32 waist, and like that's a huge fucking head.
That's a huge head.
32 waist, but what's your inseam? Because these guys have an issue with it. They're all wearing high waters.
Yeah.
Mine is 6.
And then we get into
I might misunderstand that number.
The Siteka, which we've heard about before. These are sometimes called the Saiduka or Sai, are a fabled race of belligerent red-haired giants from Paiute Indian legends. They were said to be the mortal enemies of the Indians in the area, and the Indians had joined forces to drive the giants out of their territory. According to Paiute oral history, the Siteka are a legendary tribe of red-haired cannibalistic giants, the remains of which were allegedly found in 1911 by guano miners in Nevada's Lovelock Cave. 1911, miners began excavating the rich guano deposits in Lovelock Cave, just 22 miles southwest of Lovelock, Nevada. After removing several cartloads of bat dung, they had come upon some supposed Native American relics, and soon after, a 6.5-foot tall mummy with red hair. John T. Reed of the Lovelock area thought the mummy was authentic, so he spent his life trying to prove it. In his files of the giants were descriptions of long hair robes worn by a few Paiutes. The hair was human, and it was reddish brown. Even though years had passed and no evidence had been found, the legend still persisted on. Then, people found several leg bones. By judging the size of them, people deduced that they were 6 to 10 feet tall. It's a bit of a chasm between 6 and 10 feet tall, but whatever. However, scientists thought they
standard
could be
human height too. Oh
No, Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan, you know, and Nate, you're 6 and up too, right? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I think I'm 6'1".
Yeah, then
Hell
you know about it. So like the moment you reach 6, you get new shin bones.
Yes.
They just come, they get installed in you, and then bam.
Your baby bones fall out
I also
and become property of Monstroko.
I had my femurs increased just in girth, not in length, but
I drink underbelly.
That's the options you chose.
yeah.
So that's some stuff about Indians the world over. We could get into Nephilim and Bigfoot and ogre legends, but I really wanted to bring this up because I found a couple of pretty spooky stories on various subreddits. One is from humanoid encounters and one is from unexplained encounters. And I'm going to read them to you. So this first one you may have heard before here on the show, but we're going through it again. This is the story of the Giant of Kandahar. Remember this?
Giants of Kandahar, the
supposedly
new video game,
gunned down by American military personnel.
Yeah.
I forgot. Is it in America that it happened?
Well,
No. It's in Kandahar.
let's listen on.
No, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
Kandahar, Florida. Okay. During a patrol,
I could absolutely see a place in Florida, like a little community being called Kandahar.
We'll see if Jordan comes through, but I swear there's an American one to where the army also just blasted the face off of a giant. But
I didn't find that one.
all right, never mind.
This says, during a patrol checking on some local farmers, Sarge's unit were made aware of a quote-unquote deadly being living in a cave system near their farms. When pushed for more information, the locals were only willing to say that this being was stealing from their farms and had killed a few people who had made the mistake of trying to protect their livelihood from it. Convinced the locals were being harassed.
Classic giant activity.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm going to steal a goat.
Yeah.
I need to eat that goat, and you have all the goats, and you don't accept my giant money.
Yeah. Convinced the locals were being harassed by a group of Taliban fighters, half of Sarge's unit was sent out to investigate and either arrest or kill any giants in the area. Arrest or kill any hostile forces in the area.
I mean, that's like a mission you give to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Well, there's a 20-foot tall person out there. I guess go deal with it.
Go arrest him.
All right, bring your larger grenades.
Yeah. If he gives you any shit, show him the badge. So with a few Humvees armed with M2 machine guns, they went out to the cave where the mysterious being supposedly lived. Upon arrival, they noticed nothing of interest. There were signs that something was living in the cave, and the soldiers found animal bones scattered around the entry. Not wanting to risk his entire unit fighting in a cave that the enemy would know very well, Sarge sent in his 2 fastest Marines to investigate. The 2 men just gave the others a cocky grin and a thumbs up before disappearing into the darkness beyond the mouth of the cave.
This is so much the way that I play XCOM.
For 10 minutes, there was nothing, not a single sound inside or outside the cave other than the idle chatter of the bored Marines. Then sound erupted from the cave, shouting and screaming. In a matter of seconds, the two men emerged from the cave at a full run and zipped past their teammates, one of them shouting, "Run, just run." But like the hard-ass special forces operators they were, the other soldiers stood their ground, only to see a massive man emerge from the cave. He stood nearly 10 feet tall with leathery skin and red hair. Siteka. In one of its massive hands was a log that it began waving at the soldiers in a very obviously threatening manner. Shocked but not panicked, Sarge commanded his men to shoot that motherfucker. And the 12 Marines opened fire, but the bullets seemed to be doing little more than pissing the giant off. Finally, in desperation, one of them fired a grenade launcher at the being, blowing out a massive chunk of its flesh, exposing a small portion of the ribs and ripping most of the skin and muscle off. The giant retreated into the cave, and the soldiers decided that the best thing to do was head back to the village and report the rest to the rest of their unit. Clearly, this was more than a few Taliban militants. Even with the gaping wound, the giant was too terrifying for the Marines to willingly walk into its territory. So they headed back and reported to their CO. Of course, their boss didn't believe them and demanded to see proof. So that night, they drove him out to the cave and showed him some of the shredded flesh that had been blown off by the grenade launcher. From here, the report went up the chain, and nobody knows what was done about this creature. And that's kind of the end of the encounter. Some people say that the Army took it away for further testing or to make some sort of soup out of, and or other people say that they went back and tried to kind of capture it, but ended up killing it in the process.
This is some art I found.
Whoa, sweet.
Yeah, our YouTube, you can see everything that we share, but that's the giant of Kandahar murdering a fucking Marine.
Here's another story that is fully crazy, and I'll pass the skull after this one. This is the one from Unexplained Encounters, and actually this subreddit was made so that this person could share this story because they kept getting it removed from other subreddits.
There's not a subreddit for this, and I have to tell someone.
So
please.
They say, it was spring of 2007. My then boyfriend and I were on our way from New York down to Miami to go to a music festival. We were driving south on the highway along the east coast of Central Florida when we pulled into a rest area so that he could catch a nap. He had been driving all day when he decided that he desperately needed a short rest before getting back behind the wheel. We had very recently bought the van, and he did not think that I could handle maneuvering it. So he was doing all of the driving. I later proved him wrong.
Nice.
He parked and jumped in the back of the van and laid down on the futon mattress that we had laid out there. He told me to leave him alone, and he proceeded to pass out from exhaustion. I was pretty freaked out because the rest area building was unmanned, locked up, and dark inside. The restrooms were closed. The small rest area building was surrounded by dark woods. There were about 4 other cars in the small parking lot, but no sign of any other drivers. So I imagine they were having an emergency laydown as well. Normally, I would never have set foot outside the van in such a scenario. My instincts told me not to get out of the van, but I had taken some Midol for my menstrual cramps, and it had given me brutal nausea. I needed some pretzels.
There are so many weird red flags for this relationship going bad.
Totally. Babe, shut up. Stop being sick.
I'm trying to pass out from exhaustion.
Yeah, I'm trying to pass out back here. So she says she needed some pretzels. I mustered up all of my courage and opened the passenger side door and squeezed through the space between our vehicle and the vehicle that was parked directly next to us. As soon as I had clear line of sight to the front of the rest stop building, I saw it clearly. Straight ahead, I saw the brightly lit front facade of the rest stop. To the left of the doors was it. To the right of the doors was a vending machine.
Good to know.
Immediately.
Buy some snacks after this sighting. You're going to need them.
I tried to put $1.25 inside of the beast. It didn't work.
Immediately, it communicated with me. I was flooded with what I consider a telepathic message from the being. I cannot be seen. I cannot be seen. I must travel by night and exist in darkness. I cannot be seen. I cannot be seen. I cannot be seen. And I felt an enormous wave of compassion for the being rather than fear, which may seem a more logical reaction to someone hearing this story. For some reason, my brain only categorized it as one thing initially, an outsider worthy of compassion and tolerance. Its skin was pure chalk white, not the skin tone white, the color white. Its eyes were several times larger than ours, and it had 2 little air holes for a nose, a very thin mouth. Its frame was completely concealed by its enormous, long, black hooded robe. It looked as though it was quite gaunt underneath, pretty frail looking. It was sitting on its bottom, knees bent, back against the brick front of this rest area, to the left of the front doors of the rest area. It was sitting with its back very straight, tall, and erect. It seemed in awe of me, or maybe in awe that I was actually approaching it. It looked vaguely like a human, very vaguely. Its face was snake-like. Its eyes were right on me. I threw a little everyday smile in its direction, and then I did the something strange. I continued to walk toward the rest area even after seeing it. I walked towards the rest area building, closer to it. I walked forward about 20 feet from the rear of the van to the rest stop area's stop, up the 20 or so steps, and to the right where the vending machine was located. My thoughts at this point were very bizarre in retrospect. I felt bad for the thing. I didn't want it to feel different. I know that sounds hilariously quaint if we are indeed talking about an interdimensional being, but I didn't want to run back to the van because I didn't want to hurt its feelings. I didn't want to make it feel like a freak. It had already told me it could not be seen due to the way people would react. So I wanted it to know that I didn't judge it for the way it looked, and that I was willing to come to terms with its horrific appearance in order to extend some humanity to it. So it was that very bizarrely strong conviction, blah, blah, blah. I actually got pretzels. I'm telling you, my stomach was churning. I used the vending machine with my back to it. Snyder's in hand, I swiveled around to look at it again.
I was about to ask if there were going to be Snyder's.
Before descending back down the steps. It was at that moment that pure terror rippled through me. I was closer to it now, approximately 15 feet away. Ooh. And I could see that there was definitely no way that it was human. It was staring right at me like a wide-eyed insect. It was still in exactly the same position, except that it had turned its head to look at me as my position changed. It looked like an alien, a demon. It was not human. Yeah, we get that. It was enormous. Why would we think it was human? Its huge, one-dimensional eyes were totally black. It was then that I realized that it was extremely fucking tall, unthinkably tall. Although I was standing and it was sitting, its head stood taller than mine. Its huge eyes were fixed on me with total fascination, alarm, and most intense focus, like the way my cat looks at something right before she pounces on it. Scary. When I had made the decision to climb the stairs towards it and not retreat toward the van, I thought that it was sitting on top of something, and that was why its head was raised up so high. Now, from this perspective, I could see that it was not sitting on anything but its own butt. Its juicy alien butt.
But frightening. We're at like 10 feet tall at least. This is huge.
Yeah. So there's not much more to say about this particular encounter, but this woman saw this incredibly tall, chalky creature at a rest stop in Florida. So, I mean,
what did it say again?
It said, I cannot be seen. I cannot be seen. I must live in the darkness. I cannot be seen.
Yeah, like
I must travel by night and exist in darkness.
From something.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what I think. Yeah, like it's escaping, and that's its motto that it's told itself for forever. That's what it was beat into it, from its evil master.
Or it was like trying to communicate this idea to her.
Yep,
Who
that's
knows?
very thoughtish,
Yeah, who knows? But there you have it. A couple of tales of giant encounters and some giants from around the world.
Bravo.
Now chuck the skull to you, Nate.
Look out. Some people being way too big.
How big
I also
do you-
have.
Go on.
I guess chalky and gaunt and 10 feet tall and wearing a weird robe. Too big.
That's my middle name.
It's a very long one. Your paperwork must suck.
Chalky and gaunt and too big and wearing a robe. That's my middle name.
My vaudeville name is Chalky Gaunt.
Chalky Gaunt robe.
So I also have just a bunch of random shit from Reddit. From under the category of what's the scariest story you heard a child tell about their imaginary friend?
Oh, imaginary friend tales. I love these. They give me the worst goosebumps.
Very spooky.
They're always pretty fun. In fact, the very first one, my oldest, when she was 4, she had an imaginary friend named Jack who lived under our back porch. And he liked to shove sticks down people's throats.
Whoa.
I discouraged playtime with Jack.
Yeah, Jack. Relax.
As you should.
My son was 2 to 3. I should probably be naming these people. Who cares? My son was 2 to 3 and always had a bunch of imaginary friends. The most frequently mentioned were Monkey Boy and the Cowboy. When my son was 2, he woke up one night screaming. I ran in his room and he was terrified. He kept pointing at the corner and saying that Monkey Boy was bad.
Oh, geez.
I ended up picking my son up and putting him in bed to sleep with me. And the next time, when he was 3, and we were just taking a walk with his younger sister in the stroller, I'm pushing the stroller. He's walking just behind me. He keeps saying, "Ow, stop it," or "Please stop."
Stop that, Monkey Boy.
I keep looking behind me at him and see nothing. I stop and ask him what's hurting him. He says, "The cowboy's hurting me, Mommy." I tell him there is no cowboy bias. He says, "Yes, there is. It's the cowboy in my head."
What?
Oh, I hate that the most.
That is my favorite B-52 song, though.
Cowboy in my head.
Yeah.
I had a rope.
And the cowboy was there. He was in my head.
Here's another fun one. My cousin had an imaginary friend who she said used to live in the fireplace. Yikes. And was, quote, red and patchy as if she was burned.
Oh, boy. Children, listen, children of the world, don't stop telling us about the ghosts you can see, but know that we fear them.
Yeah, know that you're scaring the shit out of us.
Apparently, she was a little girl who wore funny clothes that looked like olden day clothes. And they say still spooks me out.
Yeah.
And I don't know what this is, but the follow-up mention is, damn, still better than a purple mommy, though.
Oh, yeah, Purple Mommy. I remember Purple Mommy. I think we've talked about this.
What's Purple Mommy? Refresh us.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
If you can.
Because, I mean, I can't.
No, I was hoping Jordan could, but he seems to have gone silent. The forces of darkness have silenced him.
Oh, I thought you were talking to Nate.
Yeah, what's the
read the story, Nate, and then we'll see if it's the same one.
Okay.
I mean, it's certainly not. It's just somebody mentioning Purple Mommy.
Yes,
like offhand.
That was just another story where this kid was like, I'm looking for mommy, and mommy was like, I'm right here, and she goes, not you, Purple Mommy. Purple Mommy scares me. Purple Mommy smiles too much, or something like that.
Oh, I just found the Reddit, and I hate this the most. I'm gonna have nightmares.
Yeah, Purple Mommy did something scary. I can't remember what it was.
Purple Mommy can take off her head. Purple Mommy really doesn't like Daddy.
Yeah.
Purple Mommy has no smile, meaning of mouth.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Oh, no smile. You know, smiles too much or not enough. Either way.
Yeah, you turn the dial too far to either side, it's going to be spooky.
Not good. Here's one that might be a little too real, maybe. I don't know. My son stopped talking to his imaginary friend for months after my nephew, who was 15, took his own life.
Aww.
My son, who was not quite 5, was the apple of his eye. My nephew treated my son like a little brother, and since his mom watched my son while I worked, they spent tons of time together. I had simply told my son that his cousin was sick from sadness and he died. Which I guess is true enough. I would remind him every time before we went to their house so he wouldn't pester my sister about where he was. One day he said, Mom, you keep saying he's not here anymore, but he is. He sits on my bed before I go to sleep and he talks to me. He would not be dissuaded. This went on for months. He knew things we did not speak about around him that had happened. My nephew's grandpa on his dad's side passed a few months later. That's when my son told me his cousin told him he wouldn't be able to visit anymore because he was going on a train with his grandpa and they couldn't come back again.
I hate all these. These are the most frightening. Please continue.
Apparently the last thing he told him was not to play with guns.
Yeah,
they're very unsafe.
Yeah, that's very scary. It's also really sad to me, the idea that this person could be so like lost and desperate that they die from it or because of it, and then it just keeps going. Now they have to be a ghost.
Well, but then eventually it's to go on a train with his grandpa.
Yeah. He got out.
He's fine. Everything's fine.
Here's more of a fun one. My son had this imaginary friend, Ganga. She lived in the nearby pond, had duck feet, hair all over her face, ate through a slit in her neck, and we were expecting her any minute for dinner.
Yikes.
It sounds like it was just, a kid making up a weird, fun monster.
Yes, so.
But ate with a slit in her neck.
Yeah, terrifying.
But what's the difference between those and these, Like maybe just... I'm beginning to think, first of all, imaginary friends are real.
Mm-hmm.
They're just different dimensional beings that we can't see, or ghosts or some shit. And this falls more into like interdimensional being.
Yikes.
And here's a couple that are not so fun. My youngest niece had an imaginary friend, and when my sister told me about it, she said, ask her what she looks like. Okay, what she look like? Broken pieces.
Yikes. No.
Oh, why is she broken, sweetie? She fell from our tree.
Yikes.
Just like neck, like just bones sticking out. She fell on her neck. She's all like arms broken.
Just smashed
Compound
up.
fractures all over.
Yeah. terrifying.
And here's a fun follow-up comment. Reminds me of one thing I apparently once said while driving by an abandoned house. Me, to my father.
Oh.
That man's sad. Dad, why is he sad? Me, because they put dirt on him.
Ugh.
Ooh, goosebumps.
Gah.
I like how though I'm dead and then I'm upset about it. Dying sucks. You know, it's definitely a buzzkill. But then just to bitch about it to a child, just going like, I'm just so sad. They threw all this dirt on me, you know. Kids looking at you all bright-eyed and shit.
I mean, maybe he's an undiscovered corpse.
Oh, that could be. We got what is it? The Winter's Bones situation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
My cousin, I'll just do like one or two more.
Sure.
My cousin was a few years younger than me, and he had an imaginary friend called Mookie. Mookie wasn't human, but some kind of alien or monster thing.
Okay.
Used to freak me out when I'd hear a noise behind me at my grandparents' house, and my cousin would calmly say, "It's only Mookie. He just wants to see you."
Come on, child, stop this.
Come on, Mookie. Not now. I'm in the shower.
Also, a funny comment below that one. Mookie's the name of a famous clown I see when I'm on holiday at the circus, so I can only see him and his sketches when reading this one. Nice breather from all the potential demons. Are you kidding me? Mookie the clown is your potential demon.
Mm-hmm. He's just
Yikes.
sometimes a fun clown. He does other things.
I feel like there was a couple of the real weird ones. This one, something. This is in response to a previous post that I haven't read. But something similar happened to me and my nephew. He used to stare at the corner of his bedroom laughing. When asked what he was looking at, he'd say, "Papa's dancing."
Yikes. I'll come back. Don't worry. When I die, I'll come back and dance for you. A spooky skeleton dance.
A couple years later, we were looking through old photo albums, and he pointed to a picture of my father that had died years before he was born. That's the papa that used to dance.
Interesting.
After that, I've always kind of believed that there's some stuff kids can see that we can't. Still freaks me out thinking about it.
Oh, Reddit's a place, man.
I think the same thing about both Reddit and children. Do you have any more for us, Nate, to go out on?
Yeah, sure. Let's throw this one down there.
One more.
My son was 2. He started to cry in the middle of the night and say an orange doggy was under his cot.
Yikes. What does that mean? What do you mean, small one? Terrifying. All right, folks. Well, sleep tight after this chill-inducing episode of Werewolf Radar. That does it for this one. Thank you so much for coming and kicking it. Cheesebot, Janet Bravo, kicking it in the Zoom room. Y'all are the best. We want your stars. Please give us 5 stars on anywhere that stars can be awarded to podcasts. It's free to do, and it helps support the show. If you really, really like what we did, you can go to patreon.com/werewolf radar. You can become a Dark Council member. You get an extra episode every week, along with some art and some, what else? What else is there?
Fiction every once in a while.
That's right.
Recent updates on what we do and shit, and like merch, for subscribing consistently. We got all sorts of stuff.
All sorts of stuff. Shout out to Chuck from Snappy Little Numbers for our intro and outro song. Also, check us out on twitch.tv/werewolf_radar. We will be there playing various games. Usually it's some kind of D&D. We have an ongoing game where we play members of a band called Night Bastard. It's a lot of fun. And last episode was pretty wild. I think this next one's going to be pretty wild too. Mm-hmm. So if you're into that type of thing, get over there and check it out. What else am I forgetting? Twitter, Instagram, werewolfradar.com.
Yeah.
And I think that is it.
That's it.
That's all. So until next time, we will see you in the next episode. Although I'm going to be gone. I'm going to Scotland. I'm going to the land of giants.
Well, we might have to do it without you, or maybe take another short little break and just enjoy life, you know?
Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But that gives...
You know, I mean, if you want to go around some weird rocks, maybe a couple graveyards, and just record some stuff, we'll throw it in.
We can maybe record some graveyards. Me and Nate will go to a graveyard and Sunday on midnight.
We will see what can be seen. So until I return, or until next time, this is Werewolf Radar. You can tell everybody what happened here. I was going to tell you not to tell anybody what.
No, this one's okay, yes.
But please tell people about the show. Please, for the love of God, tell people about the show. Until next time, our sign-off line on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Punch
the sky.
Spaceman Joe.
Spaceman Joe.